So, hey, man, this is the L Train, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in this week to the Bigfoot Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can check it out on iTunes, or you can go to my website, bigfootprowrestling.wordpress.com. Hey, this is, like I said, the L Train. This is a bonus show this week. Part 2 with my chat about old school wrestling with Tony Thomas at Old Nerd Reviews on Twitter. Man, we talk about a lot of good stuff. Dropping the belt, too much these days. The Honky Tonk Man, the greatest Intercontinental Champion. Too many pay-per-views. Undertaker's last match. A lot of stuff, man. I even asked him a few questions about the 1990s Portland wrestling when it was getting close to the end with Don Owens. And also we discuss, for a second, Billy Jack's Oregon Wrestling Federation. So, man, there are some great local wrestling shows coming up soon. Lucha Libre Volcanica coming back after their big show last week. May the 27th. It's a Saturday. The Evolve Fitness. One of the matches on there. The Light Heavyweight Championship. La Avispa versus Sonico. That's going to be a big one. Hopefully I'll be there. I'm also going to Defy 3 the night before. And speaking of Defy, they just announced Defy Gigantic. June the 29th, June the 30th, Tacoma the first night, Seattle the next night, Tacoma, Washington, the 29th, Temple Theater, the 30th, Washington Hall. Good old Washington Hall. We're going to see some big stars. Cody Rhodes, Penta Elom, if that's how you pronounce it. I think it's just Pentagon Black or whatever his name is on Lucha Underground these days. And that's going to be awesome. Tickets go on sale Monday. I'll be getting some for me and Mrs. Clams. So anyway, check me out. I'm on Twitter. I am at Rat League Extreme, and that's Extreme spelled Xtreme. I got my website, bigfootprowrestling.wordpress.com, and you can always email me at Lyle, my first name, LYLE, RS1, and that's just the number 1, at gmail.com. So I am just going to straight get to my conversation here. Oh, one other thing. Tomorrow in the afternoon, I'll announce who my next guest will be for Bigfoot Pro Wrestling Podcast number 5. And I think everyone's going to be really excited about it. I sure was. Couldn't believe I got to interview this person. And that'll be dropping on Monday. But like I said, I'll make the announcement tomorrow on my Twitter handle and probably on Mrs. Clam's Twitter. And that's it, at Rat League Extreme, Xtreme. And yo, this is the L Train, and I'm leaving the station. Peace out.
You know, that's another thing that's so disheartening about the business nowadays is back in the day, they didn't drop the belt constantly. And, you know, you can see somebody drop a belt on free TV just about every other week. Whereas back in the day, when somebody dropped the belt, it was a huge thing because they would hold it for a year.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
If not more, like some of those WWE champions back in the day. WWF, I should say, or WWF.
Yeah, I think Honky Tonk Man held the Intercontinental belt for a year or more.
That's why he's the greatest Intercontinental champion ever.
Yeah, and it was amazing because when it finally happened, it was a huge payoff. And it always happened, or most likely happened, on a pay-per-view. And that's another thing. They've oversaturated the market with these pay-per-views. You know, back in WWF's early days, it was WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and and Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was good because then you had all that time in between on TV to build up, build the story, to build the angst between the good guy and the bad guy. So finally, when they got on the pay-per-view 3 times a year at most, that was the huge payoff.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Now they have a pay-per-view every 3 weeks, or case now with the 2 brands, they have one every 2 weeks sometimes. And it's just they don't have enough time to build everything. It's kind of saturated down because there's so many of them. You don't look forward to them as much, you know what I mean? Like you said, back in the day, they had the 3 a year, or there's even the NWA. They had just had, Starrcade at first, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to see that. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. And now twice a month we have the greatest thing ever. So it's really not the greatest thing ever anymore.
The audiences are so dead.
Yeah, exactly. And waiting for...
It's just been there, done that. I've been there, done that last week.
Exactly.
And you're showing it to me again. And, even the things that WWF used to do on Superstars, where they would put either the face or the heel, the main face or the heel, against a jobber. That was good stuff because you were building on stuff. And that, that allowed for maybe a run-in from somebody or something else happening to just not say, okay, I've already seen Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker last week. Why do I, instead of seeing Shawn go up against a jobber and own a jobber for weeks or months on end and build the main attraction, which was him against, Undertaker or somebody else. So finally, when the 2 big ones met, that was a huge thing.
Well, exactly. Even on, Georgia Championship Wrestling, WTBS, NWA shows, they do that all, like for 3/4 of the show, it'd be kind of jobber matches, but it would help make those guys bigger than life. Like when the Road Warriors would come out and just destroy some team in like 30 seconds. Like, yeah, those guys weren't the main guys, but it was like, oh man, those guys are amazing. They're going to kill those Freebirds, or, it's like.
Then you had Michael Hayes over on the mic. As they're killing the jobbers, bad-mouthing them and stuff like that. So that gives them a chance maybe to jump out of the ring and womp on him or something. But it was a build-up.
Exactly.
It was something that they don't do anymore.
No, because then it would really make, okay, when they get to Starrcade, we got to see that. Mom, we got to get that on pay-per-view. I don't care what it costs. I'll mow lawns. I'll do anything. But I have to see that match. I got to see what ends, Now
right.
it's like,
and that's the way
I'll just look at the internet tomorrow and see what happens, But yeah.
Right, exactly. And that's the way it used to be with the WrestleMania when it came out. And it's just like they built it up so huge that it was just something that you had to have. And now it's just like, whatever.
Yeah, we watched it last week, and it was pretty good. They had some good stuff on there still. But, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's still not the same. Plus, the card, it was like 7 hours long with their pre-show and everything. And, so many hours into a wrestling show, eventually you're going to start going, oh, geez, it's been too long, or in between you got to like take a nap just so you can get to the main events and stuff. But
I
it was still the best part of the show was The Undertaker finally retired at the end of the show. I don't know if you saw that on the internet or whatever.
That was probably his last match.
Yeah.
And it was so, even though you'd think, okay, for his last match, let's have him go out on top. But he put somebody else over
exactly
for his last match, which was absolutely awesome.
It was, and it helped because the guy who's wrestling's named Roman Reigns, and people just don't like him no matter what. He's not a good face. They haven't turned him heel yet, but it almost might be too late, and he really needed the rub. So I thought it was great that the Taker put him over. Went out in the main event, and at the end he pulled his gloves off, his jacket, his hat, left it in the ring, and walked away, gave his one last look with his fist, and then they lowered him into the thing because it was like a 3-mile walk back to the thing in this arena. It was taking these guys so long to get out there. It was crazy.
Yeah. Mark has integrity, incredible integrity, and he went out with that integrity intact. There's so many times like, it's just like Jim Ross, for example. The guy has seen it all. He's been in almost every single territory calling matches. and he's seen the old school stuff, and he's seen the awesome stuff. And when he started putting over WWE, it's just like, dude, why'd you sell out your integrity? You know this is crap because you've seen the good stuff. You've been on the other side of the fence where the grass is greener. And how can you put this stuff over legitimately without throwing up in your mouth a little?
Yeah, that's probably true. The whole Attitude Era, the way they did stuff there with, you know, the panties matches and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of that went too far, but I have to say, I think that was the last time I ever really enjoyed WWE on a regular basis. Some of the stuff I cringed at, and I just went, really? But I mean, it was still exciting, and it was when the big guys were really out there. Steve and The Rock and Undertaker was big still then, and you know, just
Shawn,
really good stuff. Oh, and Shawn, absolutely,
that
just
guy.
really good, solid stuff. And I think that's the last time when it went to the PG era. It's just like, you know, you guys, I don't know what you're doing. What are you thinking?
Well, yeah, they kind of saved themselves doing the other stuff. Like you said, Stone Cold in the Attitude Era, The Rock. I mean, those guys were incredible. They'd go out there and talk for 5 minutes and just hold the crowd in their hand, you know. But, yeah, I don't know. Suddenly we went back to the PG era where it's like all of a sudden you've taken a lot of the adults out of the equation that, you know, really were pulled in.
And I think wrestling should have always been a family affair. You know, that was the great thing about Portland. You could bring your kids. And you didn't have to worry about covering their eyes or covering their ears. That's the one thing that's primarily what concerned me about the Attitude Era, because you couldn't bring your kids anymore.
No.
But, you know, it's supposed to be a family thing. But, you know, I don't know. It's not necessary. They just call it the PG era, and that's why I call it that. It's not necessarily because it's not, you know, hardcore, gross, icky stuff that the Attitude Era had, but it's just watered down. Vince saying you can't do this anymore, and you can't do this anymore, and you can't bleed anymore and stuff, and they just watered it down to where it's more, you know, and I can't even say it's more cartoonish, because WWF was more cartoonish than WWE, you know, with all the pomp and circumstance 80s. And all the weird characters and stuff. But I don't know, it's just not like it used to be.
No, not at all. So is there anything right now in wrestling at all that you enjoy or watch at all?
It really depends.
Like, have you heard of the Lucha Underground series? Caught any of that at all? It's on Netflix.
I haven't caught any of that. I like the WCPW. I've been watching that, the UK wrestling on YouTube.
Oh, right.
Doing.
I watched one of their shows on the Fight app a couple months ago. Kurt Angle was in the main event. That was a great show.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. TNA was fabulous when it started out, and now it's just barely surviving. They may be bringing back some stuff because they're bringing back some older people to work on the booking.
Yeah, they got Jarrett and Bruce Pritchard are back in there, I believe.
Yeah, but yeah, and as long as they adopt what they used to do, that's great. But I mean, if they're just going to fall in line and do what everybody else is doing now, I don't see a future for TNA. Because I used to love
2.0 or something, you know. Yeah, I don't want to see that either. It was great. They did their own stuff. They had their own rings. What it got wrecked was when they brought in Hogan and Eric Bischoff and the Nasty Boys and even Ric Flair, even though I love Ric Flair. But
yeah, I mean, that was the turning point for me too, is when they brought Hogan in. Yeah. Then all of a sudden it turned to crap. And, you know, when Jeff left, Jeff Jarrett, I mean, that's when it all started to turn, because then it wasn't this unique wrestling, this fast-paced, really good stuff that could compete against the WWE, because that's where businesses thrive or fail. If there is no competition, then they do whatever they want. Basically, that's what Vince adopted the mindset of, is it's just like, nobody else is competing with me, so I'll do whatever they want and force it down people's throats. even though it's crap.
Oh, yeah, because there's not a great alternative. I think there is now with, like you said, some of the independents. You can catch a lot of those on the Fight TV app, but there's no other main, like there was WWF, NWA, WCW, AW, all those things kind of competing against each other to make it great. He just kind of, this is what we do. If you don't like it, we'll see you later kind of thing.
Yeah, and he shot himself in the foot more often than not anymore. How sometimes I look at businessmen like that, and I look at their mindset, and I'm going, how the heck did you get where you are? You're a real moron. Because the best thing you could have done is leave some of the competition intact, because that's going to push your product and push you to make it better than it is, because all of a sudden you've got somebody up against you. That would be the most fun for me as a promoter, is it's just like, we got to up our game. We got to do stuff better, because then you get lazy when you have no competition.
Well, exactly. Then you just, your writers are just, writing half-ass scripts and everything else because they just can put out whatever they want, basically.
Yeah, and when they changed from bookers to writers, they got these Hollywood writers who have never seen a wrestling match in their life, and it's just like, you have no idea what you're doing.
They produce the wrestlers and the announcers too much these days. Like, that was part
absolutely.
of the old wrestlers. They'd put their mind into it. They'd practice things. They run by, what they wanted to say to another wrestler to hear how it would sound. They'd work, Now it's like, here's your script. You got to hit these things. And you see it kind of on the Raw show once in a while when they bring back one of the older guys like Mick Foley or Flair just to, be a part of a promo or something. Like, they're not as slick because they're trying to think of their lines so much, It's like, you can't do that to those guys, man. Let them be themselves. Let their character come out of them, Let them work on it while they're backstage, not just wait for what, the next script is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they know what's going on. They know where they're headed. They know what they're doing with their opponent, what they're not doing with their opponent. So that means let them go out and talk off the top of their head. That's when a promo is awesome. When you script it, people can see it. It's ridiculous and it's stupid.
So, hey, what was I going to ask you? Oh, yeah. What about that Buddy Rose interview you were telling me about?
Oh,
how'd that all work out?
It was great. That's when that's when he told me about the only injury he had really was, cutting his leg on the ring stairs. But yeah, him and Ed Wiskowski was just had this little meet where people could come and talk. And so I sat down with Buddy and we talked for a while and had a good time, and just went over and said hello to Ed. He didn't seem too involved.
Colonel Debeers.
I'm sorry.
Colonel Debeers.
Yeah. The Polish Prince Ed Wiskowski is all.
That's right.
I remember him as the Colonel Debeers was kind of goofy. I didn't really care that.
He started doing that in AWA, right? And then he kind of came back to Portland with that. But I can't remember. But yeah, I remember Ed Wiskowski. I remember them wearing those long pants, tight pants, and he had that big hairy chest and that kind of short, almost bullish haircut and that mustache. And
and then he came in the 80s for a while as the character. What I never can Maharishi Ahmed. I love it. It's just like, Ahmed. Are you serious? And it was funny and it was comical and it was over, but it's not really how I remember Wiskowski. I remember him as the Polish Prince, and very, very articulate and very upper brow to Buddy, and they were just great. They made a great tag team.
Oh man, that must have been great, just sitting there kind of talking to those guys. Or at least Buddy, anyway.
Yeah, it was really fun. When Buddy passed a few years back, it was really sad. It was just like, man, I remember sitting down and talking with that guy.
Oh man, yeah. There's been losing a lot of the old wrestlers last few years. I guess it's just that I'm hitting 45 now. I guess I'm not the young spring chicken like I used to, but it's still weird seeing your favorites. One day and like, oh, we lost this person or that person or
Yeah,
like George the Animal Steel just a couple weeks ago. Ivan Koloff, it's like, oh man, I remember Ivan Koloff, man, and all those old tag teams, or even back in the WWF by himself. It's like taking on a guy. He beat Bruno. I mean, damn.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
that was great stuff. I was reading Stan Hansen's book. I don't know if you've read that at all, but
No,
he
I
talks
haven't.
about all the matches he'd have with Bruno when they brought him in, how big they were. They were sold out, and after he broke, he was the one that broke Bruno's neck.
Uh-huh.
And then there was the big show on the way back, or when Bruno finally came back, and he said he was scared. He was getting death threats, because he was the guy that broke Bruno's neck.
Oh, jeez.
But they'd go to a disqualification. They went to the hour-long time limits multiple times. It's like, man, to be in a crowd for one of those shows back in the day must have been like just absolutely crazy amazing.
Yeah, speaking of Hansen was the first wrestler that really truly Hansen and David Schultz were the two wrestlers who legitimately scared the hell out of me. Because I think that was really the first time I had ever seen a wrestler hit a referee was Stan Hansen. And I mean that changed the whole dynamic. I'm going, man, if if he can hit a referee, it's just like he'll do anything.
Oh man, those guys were just monsters, man. Bruiser Brody along with those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, in those old Japan wrestling matches I've watched on YouTube and stuff, it's like those guys just beat the hell out of each other. Everyone in the place is scared to death of those guys. It's like you knew not to get in their faces, but he would chase the Japanese fans around with his chain and swing it at them, and they loved it.
I remember one match that I went to. Actually, I went to a number of matches. There was a promotion over in Boise, Idaho in the 80s, and I can't remember the name of it. But their champion primarily was, what was his name? Paddy Ryan, Paddy. Paddy Ryan. He was an Irish dude, pretty heavy set, and he was their champion. That was actually the first time I had seen Moondog Moretti. Ed Moretti. Was the first time I'd ever seen Ed Moretti was at that Boise. And that's when he was wearing the dog collar around his neck. And what he'd do is he'd pour dog food in a dish and get down on all fours and eat it. And then he would hawk something up, spit it up in the air and catch it in his mouth.
Oh man.
And he was just awesome. And I remember one guy, his last name was Martel, and I can't remember his first name. But I remember one night he was getting heckled, and I don't know if this was set up or not, or if it was legit. But I remember this one guy heckling him so bad. He was a heel. Martel jumped out after the match and chased this guy out in the parking lot. Everybody in the arena flooded out into the parking lot, and he just beat the crap out of this guy.
Oh man.
And like I said, I don't know, it was probably set up or something like that, but it was so legit.
I don't know, back then that probably very could have been legit. You didn't know back in the day what the hell was going to happen with the crowd. Those guys could get stabbed in on their way out from the, what was it? Ole Anderson got stabbed and cut open one time.
Yeah.
It's like, that stuff's crazy, where they have to be really careful trying to get to their car, after the matches, because the fans will be waiting for them, because, man, you beat our guy tonight, man. You beat our favorite down. Now we got to get back at you. And it's like, man, it's like those guys don't have any of that to worry about now. They go get in the bus, sign some autographs, or whatever. But, man, which was probably good. I mean, come on, some of those guys got legitimately beat up back in the day, so I couldn't even imagine that. So, yeah, the guys today, they got it made compared to some of them old heels, man.
Yeah, I remember watching Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman, two of the best sellers, just keeping their persona on. I remember those two going at it, and that was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen. Was Lawler and Andy Kaufman. Just great times.
Oh, they worked fabulous together, because Andy Kaufman was just selling the crap out of everything. What was it, Dave Letterman?
Yeah.
Lawler just slapped the crap out of him right there on the show. It's like,
yeah, Andy came back and threw coffee on him, and that was just absolutely great. Andy Kaufman could have been a legit wrestler, because that guy never took his mask off.
Oh no, I think he lived his deal 24/7. Even when he got beat by Lawler, and they had
Yeah.
to take him out. The story was, you know, they had to take him out in the ambulance and everything, and he said he'd pay for the whole thing and everything, and they had him actually take him to the hospital by ambulance, and it's like, man, he sold the whole thing. And just think of that attention a comedian actor like him was pulling into that federation. Was it Memphis, I think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, he was just having a heck of a time. You could tell it. And you know, he did what he loved. He enjoyed riling up the crowd. And what better way to rile up a crowd than be a heel?
Oh, I know.
Professional wrestler.
I
mean, those guys have it harder than a face.
Like you said,
it's easy to get over as a face, but when you're a heel, you've got to really get inside people's heads and under their skin.
Oh, and that's how the great ones did it, and there's very few of those guys, if any, left today.
Yep, very sad. We will never see the kind of wrestling that we have today, and that's one reason I really love exposing newer fans to the old stuff, because, you know, it's just like music today or anything else that they you know, have to force down people's throats. It's not as good today as it used to be, but if you're never exposed to the good stuff, you really don't know what good stuff is.
Oh, exactly. You just won't even know the difference.
Yeah.
So back to Portland just real quick here. I know we're getting close to the hour time limit here.
Nice when you're having fun.
Yeah, it's great, man. Other than my wife, I don't have a lot of like immediate wrestling fans except for people I've met on Twitter and things like that. So I really am enjoying just sitting down talking wrestling, man. You're very informative. You know what the hell you're talking about. Just having a blast, man. So this is great. I appreciate this so much. But real quick, back to the 90s Portland wrestling. What do you remember? Did you get to watch it up till the end when it closed there? Or?
Yeah, I watched it all the way through. You know, it had its good moments. It had its bad moments when it brought Art Barr into that Beetlejuice persona. I thought that was one of the low moments. I thought, oh my goodness, what did you do? And I think Denton and Roddy was actually doing a lot of was really involved with Portland at that time. And it's just like, Roddy, why would you think this is a good idea? Bringing him out as a goofball. And it's just like, he's the same guy. He's I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Just absolutely didn't work for me. I loved I'm trying to think of his real name. He's been through so many personas, Johnny Polo and Raven.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly. You're Scotty. Scotty Flamingo was another one of his names. Yeah.
Is his last name Riggs?
No, that's a different guy. Oh. That was in his little stable back there in the Nitro days.
That's right. But, you know, Scotty the Body, he was a great character. I really got into Scotty. I thought he was funny as heck, and he was a legitimately good heel. He knew what he was doing. But, you know, I really enjoyed Piper. I really enjoyed Billy Jack. I enjoyed Rose, and I enjoyed Rip Oliver.
What'd you think about the Grappler?
Great heel.
I read his book not long ago. If you haven't read it, man, it's a great read.
Yeah, when they turned him face, I thought that was a mistake because he made a better bad guy than he did a face.
Oh, he's a fabulous bad guy.
I think he got over a lot better. You know, Mike Miller.
Oh, Mean Mike.
Awesome. Loved Mike. And you had asked me about the Billy's promotion.
Oh yeah, that's on my notes here at the end. I was going to ask you about that. The Oregon Wrestling Federation.
Yep. The OWF.
I had never heard about it until a couple weeks ago. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never went to see it in person, but I started watching it after I heard that they had a television deal on. I think they had it on Channel 49. And it was a pretty good show. It was actually pretty good. The quality of it, the matches. I mean, they brought in Miller, they brought in Billy Jack, brought in
seems
Oliver.
like a lot of those guys jumped over from Don Owens.
Yeah, I thought that was a big mistake because I'm going, okay, this is part of Billy's retaliation for whatever he feels Don Owen did to him. And these guys are jumping over, and it's just like, you really shouldn't burn your bridges, because somebody may not necessarily be a Vince McMahon and say, come back, we'll give it another try. They may just say, get lost.
Right.
You turned your back on me, get lost.
Yeah, I was going to check it out. I started watching one of the episodes. There's quite a few of them on YouTube, so that's pretty cool.
There is. YouTube is just a wealth of stuff now.
I love to.
It's just amazing.
I caught one of your videos last night. I was up late, and I sent you that message for Skype. I catched your what is it, Old Nerd Review.
Oh, okay. Over on my Old Nerd Reviews channel. Yeah,
I was watching you eat a breakfast sandwich.
Yep, that's mainly what I do now. Is I do the food and product reviews and the unboxing over on that channel, and have a good time.
Oh, fun! That sounds cool. Yeah, you look like you're having a good time just making the videos and stuff. Plus, you get to eat breakfast sandwiches. I mean, shit.
Yeah, it's just like, all us foodies are on this downward spiral to see who can have a heart attack first.
Well, I had one at 40, so.
Oh my goodness!
But I've been doing great since then, so.
That's
much
good.
better shape. But hey, man, I think I'm gonna cut this for now. Maybe we can talk again about some other wrestling another time. But it's close to the hour, and I gotta get on some stuff here before my wife gets home from work. I'm off every Tuesday. So, hey, man, I really appreciate you, Tony. I appreciate your website. What is it?
Portland-wrestling.com. I wasn't able to get portlandwrestling.com, so I settled for a dash.
Oh, well, dash in there. It's still great. Like I said, I've been looking at that site for a long time. Finally checked out some of your DVDs. They were great. I appreciate you sharing all that stuff, all your vast knowledge of Portland.
For all those years.
Yeah, they did. It's hard to find wrestling stuff. I did find on Amazon, Barry Owens put out a couple DVDs. I don't know if you've seen those or not.
No, I haven't.
It's called Portland Wrestling, and there's 2 DVDs. I got them right here. One is from an actual show, or clips from actual shows. Some of it's when Barry Owens was kind of running it a little bit more.
Okay.
But the other one is like stuff from the big extravaganza shows. It's not great video. It's not like they really cleaned it up. It's like they just put it together and threw it out. But yeah, they are pretty cool. So there's those. They got some stuff on Amazon. You can watch a few different shows or greats of Portland, stuff like that. So, and then
have you ever seen that documentary that OPB had on with? It was primarily centering on the Dutch Savage Bull Ramos rivalry.
I think was it like on PBS or something, and they have it on YouTube now. I think I caught a piece of it one day, and then I also noticed there was a Dutch Savage interview on there, but I got to watch more of it.
You should watch that if you have a chance. That is a really great show. I mean, Bull Ramos was fabulous. I mean, when I started watching, Bull Ramos was kind of petering out. It was kind of like the end of Bull. But, I mean, Bull Ramos was an awesome heel. Oh, my goodness.
I haven't ever seen too much Bull Ramos, man. But I'll get on YouTube, check out some of him too, man. Yeah. But, hey, again, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to have it out here probably within a week or two. I'm getting my stuff all set up, sending it over to iTunes, get it put up on there, and maybe Spotify. And hopefully I can get... Yeah, I'll send you a link. I don't know if I sent you my webpage link.
I don't think so. Yeah, send me your webpage link. Send me a link to the podcast when it comes out, and I'll go ahead and put it over on one of my Saturday night chats.
Sweet, man. Put us over, brother.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk
I'll
wrestling
do the same
on the Saturday night chats. We talk about whatever. We talk about food and nerdy stuff and geeky stuff.
And where do we listen to that at?
I'm sorry?
And where do we listen to that at?
Oh, that's on the Old Nerd Reviews channel, but I do it live. It's every Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, man. I'll check it out. I'll put a link up on my page for you. And again, awesome. Tony, man, I appreciate you. Appreciate your Portland knowledge, old school knowledge. And I'll talk to you later, brother, okay?
All right. Thanks, Lyle.
You're welcome, man. Thank you. Bye.